Can you trick people with science? Yes. You know who does this really well? The cosmetics industry. Triple protect. Like, what does triple mean? That brightens and protects against oxidative stress. I didn't even know I had oxidative stress. Regenerist. What does that mean? This video is about the language of persuasion. So how do people convince us into believing things, especially when they're not even remotely true? I'm Sophia, I'm a journalist and content creator, and I want to be in control of my money and my mind, right? I don't want to be tricked into buying something that I don't actually need. I don't want to be fooled into endorsing an idea I actually don't support. And above all, I do not want to be fooled into voting for someone who in fact is not telling me the full story. So in this video, I'm going to be exploring some of the unexpected or surprising reasons behind how we are able to be persuaded into believing some of these ideas, and especially the linguistic devices that are used to do so. So to get started, I've got to answer my first question, which is, why do cosmetics companies give their products such weird names?
Most of us aren't dermatologists or cosmetic scientists, so why do they use so much sciencey language to sell to us? As long as they aren't misleading you, they are allowed to get away with this. And in doing so, they legitimize their product because it sounds like it could do a lot. There is a fascinating study that once looked at the kind of language that's used in English and French cosmetics advertising. And this is what the researcher found. They found a reliance on scientific words most people don't know the meaning of. Could you honestly tell me what peptides are or what prosilicum is? Another is the grouping of ingredients that sounds legit, but again offers zero actual detail. I'll give you an example. Anti-pollution, antioxidant, plant extracts. What plant? What plants? I don't know. They won't go into the individual ingredients or explain how they work. Also, linguistic disclaimers. So one ad was about a mascara that lasts up to 24 hours. Not that it lasts 24 hours, up to. So it could literally last any time frame from when you put it on to 24 hours later. So it could actually only last 2 hours.
We get told a lot that makeup or skincare can improve the appearance of, not does improve the appearance of, and that's how they can get away with saying it. Something else that they also do is they will say that something contains a special ingredient, but in fact, it's not the required quantity for that ingredient to do anything. Can they still get away with saying that it contains it? Yes. And then if the product doesn't in fact do something, what happens? The company gets away with it and we probably just end up buying something else anyway. It's really weird because in other areas of life, you have companies actually work really hard in their marketing to try and decomplicate stuff in order to sell to us. But it just seems like in the cosmetics and skincare space, this is a really effective way of persuading people to buy your stuff. The thing is, that isn't the only time that someone has made something sound sciencey to make it believable. And to tell that story, I'm going to have to do something quite extreme. I'm going to have to take you back to the era of chain emails. Hello? Hi, is this the CDC's banana hotline? Is it true that I've just eaten a flesh-eating banana? It's not. But my friend's brother's dad's cousin's chiropractor son's girlfriend sent me an email about it. Did you know there were people that once believed that there were flesh-eating bananas that were being imported from Costa Rica, and that the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the government agency in the US, had to set up a banana hotline to try and debunk this? Not only were people tricked into believing it in 1999, they get tricked into believing it basically every single time someone brings this up. So you better not create the banana hoax again now I'm making this video. So in 1999, there was this chain email that was being sent around that was claiming that flesh-eating bananas were being imported from Costa Rica. The email said things like, please forward it to people you love, They would start with "Dear friend," and they would say in sort of big capital letters that it was from the CDC. Obviously, actual messages from the CDC do not say all of these things, but this email said something else that was really important. It was a really important part of why people fell for it. Not only did these emails say that it had a flesh-eating disease, it named the disease necrotizing fasciitis, and that is in fact a real disease. That is something that is in a medical dictionary. It's something that people can get. The thing is, there is no evidence anyone's ever gotten it from a banana. This is a really, really rare health condition that people can get from open wounds. But the fact that a real disease was mentioned makes it feel legitimate. It does two things at once, really. It scares you, and it's a piece of information that you immediately trust because it sounds legit. I mean, I don't know who wants to stop people eating bananas. I don't know if it's Big Orange or some competitive fruit conglomerate that's trying to take down banana. But the point is, when stuff like this happens, it causes real world harm. In this case, banana sales were affected in some places, and also people were made to worry about their healthcare in a way that they really didn't want to, and the CDC ended up having to devote their resources to a literal banana hotline rather than something a bit more important.
Tapping into the people you know is something that coordinated manipulation campaigns do very well. They know that they can try and influence you and maybe get somewhere doing that, but they have an even better shot if they also target someone like your mum or someone who's very close to you, who might actually be able to wield a lot more influence over you. Now imagine if it wasn't only your mum telling you some new ideas, but it was literally everybody that you were surrounding yourself with. And imagine if the one thing that they were completely obsessed about, the thing that united them all, was based on something totally untrue.
There are lots of things that I do believe in. I believe in the power of human kindness. I believe in Sod's law. And then there are things that I don't believe in. I don't believe that a doppelganger has secretly replaced Avril Lavigne. It's one of my favourite internet conspiracy theories. I also don't believe that a big hairy Sasquatch is terrorising the forests of North America. However, plenty of people do. The reason that people believe in Bigfoot is going to surprise you. One survey estimates that 13% of the United States believe that Bigfoot exists. And you might now be thinking, okay, why? What makes them different to you or I? Is it that they're a bit weird? Is it that maybe, you might think they can't be as smart as I am to believe in something like that? What if I told you that people who believe in Bigfoot have low levels of neuroticism, for example? What if I told you they have good self-esteems, and that if you are also someone with low levels of neuroticism, good self-esteems, you too, in a different place, may also believe in Bigfoot? Those are some of the things that Craig Foster learned, and he's a psychology professor in the US. And he went to survey people who went to the Texas Bigfoot conference one year. Yes, that is actually a conference that exists. So he wanted to find out if Bigfoot believers differ at all from non-Bigfoot believers. And when he did this survey, he compared people who had 100% certainty that Bigfoot exists with people who are a little more skeptical about the big guy. The Bigfoot believers and the people who are a bit more skeptical, they didn't differ when it came to personality. They didn't differ when it came to intelligence. Where they differed was kind of who they surrounded themselves with. They spoke to more people who believed in Bigfoot than the skeptics. They were more likely to have read more sources talking about Bigfoot claims as well. And they were more likely to trust someone who had claimed that they had seen Bigfoot. And you don't have to go all the way to a Bigfoot conference to find the power of shared belief in this theory. In the 80s, there was a study that was done of university students in Connecticut, California, and Texas. And that study found that 30% of students believed in Bigfoot. Bigfoot isn't real, but you know what is real? Community. can you see how with the power of building resources and organising fun things like conferences, you create an environment where these ideas can flourish and they can go unchallenged, because to challenge an individual's belief ends up becoming challenging an entire group's belief. You're probably not a Bigfoot believer, but imagine if all of your friends started believing in something and all of your family started as well. You may end up becoming a Bigfoot believer as well.
So we've discussed scientific language, we've talked about the grouping of things to stop us from questioning detail, and linguistic disclaimers. We've also considered the use of half-truths and then building communities around ideas to reinforce them. But this video is about the language of persuasion, and there is no better way to think of how people in the world may be persuaded than considering the speech that you and I use, the speech that you and I have demonstrated over the past year on our social media. Have you ever done a linguistic analysis on yourself? Let's get into it. Can someone tell from the way that you speak if you've been lied to? For years, linguists have been trying to research whether those who believe in conspiracy theories are more likely than others to use certain kind of linguistic devices or rhetorical devices online. And actually, there's the perfect piece of research that's been done to look into all this. They find that the language used by people who do endorse conspiracy theories tends to be a lot more emotional. By that I mean emotionally charged. You know, there's more anger. There is more upset and frustration with the world. There's more swearing than other forms of speech. There is a focus on power, dominance, aggression. There are more question marks and there are more exclamation marks. There is lots of certainty, there's lots of interrogation, and there's also a lot of the use of we and they. So my group or my people versus you lot. Plenty of research has shown us before that we are more likely to believe in false information when we are emotionally activated. So that's not only how we are persuaded into thinking things, people emotionally charge us, we become activated, and then we start posting in this way using these kind of linguistic devices, and that's how we persuade someone else. At this point you're probably thinking about, oh yeah, scientific papers don't tend to use this language, or we do not tend to always see experts, for example, speaking in this way. There is a reason that newspapers, and obviously here I'm talking about, you know, good newspapers, there is a reason newspapers aren't full of exclamation marks and question marks in the way that's being described here. When you have the facts, you don't have to rely on those devices. Remember now that some of the most successful stuff on social media is the stuff that emotionally activates us. It is the kind of thing that makes us want to share or want to comment or react powerfully. And this is why generally when people are trying to fight mis and disinformation, it's really hard, because some of those posts are kind of the best posts in that they have gamed the algorithm way more successfully than boring news copy that is completely factually accurate, or a boring science paper that is, again, completely factually accurate. Anyway, it's not only social media that people might be using these devices when they're speaking or when they're posting. It's in the general political landscape. So a very good example of this would be Nigel Farage. Is this an individual who has used emotionally activating language in the past to mislead? Let's take the example of his use of invasion. He's not the only political figure to have used this.
This was almost a military-scale operation. This was an invasion.
The invasion on our southern coast.
Quite apart from an invasion of immigrants or an invasion of small boats being inaccurate, it's hyperbole. It's an enormous exaggeration of actually what is happening. That is an emotionally activating word designed to make you feel what? Hearing the word invasion, makes me feel scared. It would scare anyone, and it successfully scares and misleads lots of people. In this data from Telltale research, we also have some really interesting linguistic analysis that they did. They specifically looked into people in the UK who believe in something called the Great Replacement theory. And there are people who believe in this idea all over the planet, but they erroneously believe that white people are being replaced, and that there is a big coordinated plan to do that. Not only did the researchers find the kind of emotive language we've been talking about, when they interviewed people who believed in this idea, loads of them constantly said facts. I don't mean that they actually cited factual information that backed up their arguments. They said the word facts. Loads. They would reference facts and research like, it's based on facts, or do your own research, I've done my own research. And phrases like, you just have to look, or use your own eyes, look with your own eyes, or make your mind up, make your own mind up. It's so interesting when people reference facts or the existence of facts or research, and then when you probe them, they are incapable of actually citing information or citing the source for information, especially. Because they're simultaneously unable to do that, but they also believe that what they've understood to be true does rely on science. It does rely on research and ultimately reality. They believe their idea is grounded in truth. They're not there thinking they're trying to fool others. They think that, hey, no, what I believe is true. You're the ones who've been fooled. This is so appealing in a world where, generally speaking, lots of us feel like we don't have control. We also like feeling like we're good judges of the world, that we're good judges of character and of other people. And it's easy to think that our personal experience is representative of what is going on nationally or internationally. But of all these linguistic features that I've described, have any of them made you think, oh yeah, I do this sometimes, or I know someone who does them? It might be that you don't generally do them, but when you're activated to talk about a particular topic, the exclamation marks and the question marks come flooding in, or you swear more than you normally do. With this, I just have one cheeky little word of warning. If you believe in one conspiracy theory, the other interesting data point that they found in their research is that if you believe in one conspiracy theory, you're actually quite likely to believe in other conspiracy theories. You're more likely than the average member of the public. So if they're using these kind of linguistic features about one idea that they believe in, chances are, in their mind, if you dug around enough, you're going to find other ideas that they believe in that are also going to be based on falsehoods. When I was reading this report and I was seeing these references to facts, to research, it just got me thinking about the makeup stuff again. The smallest references or nods to science really do make us feel more confident and comfortable that something is legit. And then there's this entire linguistic landscape around it. So you can start dripping in linguistic disclaimers, you can start dripping in groupings, and you can start dripping in half-truths. Suddenly we're in this context where individual things aren't being scrutinised, or where we're very comfortable that facts and research has been involved, but then the minute someone asks us for a source, we're like, and then if we expand on that, and then you start surrounding yourself in resources because you're sort of obsessing about a particular topic, and then you find like-minded people who can share additional resources with you, which are another layer of all these weird linguistic features being used to persuade you. It's actually really easy to see how you can be in an environment where you're just surrounded seemingly by science. It's actually not the truth. But by that point, you're not questioning it anymore because you're just so emotionally activated and you're confident that what you're saying is based on reality. This is how people are persuading us into believing things that aren't true, buying things that don't work, and voting for people that may not actually want to protect us and are more interested in promoting harm. This has been The Language of Persuasion. It's been my first foray into visual essays on YouTube. I really hope you liked it. If you did, make sure to give it an actual YouTube like and also subscribe because I'm going to be making plenty more of these. And do you want to know something that is hopefully a very good thing? When we know all of the tricks and the techniques that I've talked about in this video, we are better at spotting it and we are better at not being persuaded, at not being tricked. So if you've gotten to the end of this video, thank you so much. That's really good news for me, but it's actually even better news for you. Hopefully it means that now as you're traveling the wild west of the internet, you're going to start seeing these little linguistic thingamajigs. You're going to think, oh my goodness, I see what's happening here. And I hope that the things that we talked about today stay with you for a very long time.